Not FA Cup.
No, Carabao Cup. All right, we are live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome along. It's the ROONS MIZZ Arsenal chat. I'm ROONS.
And I'm Miz.
We come at you on Thursdays to talk about all things Arsenal. We missed last week, so we didn't get to cover the Brighton match. It was a strange one. I think we were on a high from the Tottenham battering.
Indeed.
I heard a good chant the other day. It's like, Tottenham get battered everywhere they go.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, the Brighton game was interesting. It was a little boring. Not boring defensively, like they look a little more sound overall. And it's good to not lose or draw, lose to a team like that. I mean, we did lose to them last season, and they can be a bogey team for us when we play. So I think, positive signs. Wasn't overly impressed with the build-up attacking play, but that happens sometimes.
Why is it though? It seems like there's two, and we said it last year too. There's two teams. There's a team where somehow things just start moving and flowing and we break the lines. And then there's those games where you're like, it's just not going to happen today. There's nowhere it's going to go. The touches are wrong. The passes are wrong. Apparently it doesn't matter who's on the field because we had our dream lineup playing.
Yeah, which is good. I'm happy that he actually played the team that we want him to play. They need to keep playing that team. I like Lokonga.
Yeah. But it's like, why is it the formation? Is it what is it on days like that? Because these are the games we need to win. And also last year we never had a game where we had that breakthrough game where we smashed someone and then won again the next game.
Right. Yeah.
It's just like, oh, is it a one-off? You need to win two. You need to have that game, and then you win the next two, and then you actually think like we are a good team, and that wasn't a fluke.
Right. No, I mean they just have a tough time stringing good result after good result together, and that's going to be some growing pains. I think it's hard to say why they can't do it formation wise. I mean, they're doing the same thing that they were doing the week before, but Brighton, I don't know. They just studied the team tape. They're not playing with as much intensity, I guess, or I don't know. Because every time we play Tottenham, we're fired up to play Tottenham in general. I think that Arsenal. I think Arsenal players actually genuinely hate Tottenham players.
Yeah, no, they can get pumped up for that match, but then getting pumped up for the next match, and also it benefited us that we were pumped up and Tottenham was flatter than a pancake.
Yep.
So then you show this gulf between the two teams. But we get stuck playing these middle of the road teams like Brighton, who their thing is they come with the energy every time. They know they don't have the talent like some teams, but their energy is always there. And I feel like against the best teams, even Man City, if you just every ball, you pressure every single ball, it's hard to deal with. And we don't yet have the quality or the resourcefulness to figure out games like that to get
the fitness. I don't think if you Man City is we've talked about this before. Their fitness level is out of control. I think everyone there, when you look at those dudes, they are ripped. They are you can tell that they are in the best shape of their life in general as football players, and that's tough to do. As it takes time to get if you're not big, some of the players, it's going to take time for them to grow. Hopefully they're implementing these things. It's hard not to be a little bit positive right now about them though. The club has a decent buzz right now. Even pundits are being oh, what about Arsenal? They could be a bogey team here that we didn't really think about. I don't want to get ahead of it, but at least we're in the talking points of being in a good way again, not
relegation or
no. I think and then all this other, I mean, the Newcastle getting bought by the Saudis has like been major news. And then that's kind of dragged Arsenal into that with like, well, why isn't it our turn to have, an owner that actually cares about the team? I think that Kroenke thing will unfold at some point. I don't think that they're going to be able to hold on to the club permanently. I just don't. I just can't see it with the support the way it is, and people don't have they don't want them around.
Yeah, and especially if the results if we don't get back in the Champions League this year, that's a tall order. I feel like the way we think of now getting in a Champions League used to be the way we used to think of winning a title. Like it's gonna be hard, but we can picture it, even like, well, there was that time with Wenger where we did think we should win the title. And then like the period right after that, where it was like, I know it's possible, but I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that I pick Arsenal to win because it's just so hard. But you do believe the team with Van Persie and Adebayor, you wanted them in your heart to win the title because you actually believed that it was possible.
Well, it was. I mean, I think that group of players comparatively to the teams that followed was much better. I mean, there was that season, I can't remember the year now. We were playing outdoor, and it always was at like Aliante or whatever. We had those Sunday morning games. We were top of the table for a while during that winter league. Remember, there was a few seasons in a row where we were really in the fold.
That was the after table to you, to all our Manchester United friends.
It was. We used to say during we used to say that all the time at indoor games. Like I just remember it was like we were top for a while. So, they've really fallen from grace over time. And I think, we have a young group of players right now. And they're all kind of good. So as long as they just like this year, try not to like hold them, too high of a standard. They're young. They're like, all of them are like 21, 22 years old.
Yeah. I mean, Odegaard.
They need
to.
Yeah. And what about this talk? What about this talk of Oxlade-Chamberlain coming back to Arsenal? I don't
rate it. I don't want it. He left. He was one of those players that left, and like by the last 6 months or so, he didn't even care, and he was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna leave anyway." He was happy to be there. He was a Bellerin that we sold at somewhat of the right time. We got 35 million for him.
Yeah, and that was like one of the only business deals that we've done right on.
Yeah, and it was a shame because it was like you wanted him to be good, but you're like,
so what are they going to pay 50 for him now?
Yeah, and we're talking like 6-month loan and stuff, and I'm like, why do we need another winger on loan who already played? It's the same kind of stuff when they're like, oh, Ramsey might return. And it's like, really? What did we do with Ramsey?
Right. I mean, he never, and same, that's like with Jack Wilshere training at Arsenal right now. I mean, I get it. They're helping Jack Wilshere get back to fitness, trying to get him a team. I will be a little bothered if he gets a contract or any type of role at the club, because
not any kind
that would be,
I don't think is.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't see how that would even be possible. I mean, what are you going to put him in over Odegaard or Emile Smith-Rowe? Get the fuck out of here. Like,
I don't think that's even on the table, but
yeah.
Like players that kind of didn't really work out and overstayed their welcome, or that we already sold. I mean, we sold Oxlade, 5 years, 6 years ago? It seems like an eternity ago,
Yeah. I mean, and he's won the league now in Champions League, and like his next move out of Liverpool should either be to go somewhere else in another country or not to Arsenal, though. I don't see him back at us. Like,
I mean,
he's not. I never really rated him all that great. Like, I think he's a good player. I think like he deserves to be a professional footballer, sure. But like, in terms of like, if you're going to go pick a team, he's never someone I'm going to think about as like a player that I would go after.
For sure. To me, he seemed like he was like, he was more than happy to go to Liverpool, win the titles that they've won, but be mainly a bench player. He's like, that's my wheelhouse right there. Like, I'm not going to be your main guy. Maybe I'll come in and score a goal here and there. He's inconsistent. He was injured. But
Yeah,
like,
he gets hurt. He gets hurt a lot.
he wanted to ride along, and he was riding along with Wenger, and he was perfectly happy with that. And then it wasn't really that good enough. But he's not going to elevate any squad.
Mm-hmm. Well, I forgot to send you a story. I meant to. We don't get to talk about Granit Xhaka lately because he's been injured, but I saw a story that he's really he's letting the Amazon crew that's filming right now film his recovery very much. Like he like wants them to see it because he wants to win the fans' love and show that he's like you know,
do I doubt
someone to be liked in general.
I'm not saying he's a lazy person. You know what I mean?
No, I'm sure I'm sure
his love for Arsenal isn't enough. I'm saying he doesn't
you're
have
not good enough.
He doesn't have the tool. I'm sorry, you know?
Yeah, he doesn't have the right stuff.
But it smacks of the same stuff we were talking about Bellerin earlier, where, and this is why I always didn't really like Bellerin, because first of all, we were on a downturn when he started coming, even when he was before his injury, when he was better and he was, really fast and had a bright future. But we lose a game and you just see him after the game just going up to dudes like, oh man, what's up, dude? Like he's happy to be there. I'm already I play with Arsene Wenger. I'm young, I'm rich. Like, why do I care if we lose or not? Win or lose, I try hard. Yeah, and then tomorrow I'm gonna be kicking it with my friends on the other team. And that's when all the crazy fashion started coming out, and you'd see him outside of the pitch smiling and what's up, man? Yeah, and it's like, dude, we were top of the table, and we just let that go, and then Leicester fucking won the title. And you're out here just smiling, and that seemed like that was more. He was fine. He was like, he didn't understand. Yeah. There's a sense too with Arsenal players where they're like, why are people complaining? Like, I don't get it. Why are people upset?
Right.
And it's because they're like, everything is fine in my life. I get paid 60 to 100 grand a week, and I have YouTubers all the time wanting to hang out with me and wanting to do these influencer things. Like, I don't get why anyone's upset. And those players, and you could see on the field when push came to shove, they didn't have it.
You're not wrong. Like he did, that is all true, and that all happened as him. And I think, there is a level of marketability that like they all need and whatever and whatnot. Like they have to do certain things outside the fold, but
game.
Yeah, and he just never looked serious. Like he never looked like a true professional. Like I always bring it back to this, but Ronaldo at United, everybody, like there's been multiple reports of him showing up in the dressing room and how all of the other players are just like, he's just a top professional. Like he's a professional athlete for a reason, and his work rate is out of control. And like he's there early, he stays late. Like,
it's his persona.
Yeah. Like, he takes it seriously.
Yeah, there's playing, there's your media commitments, but you don't want them to get out of balance. And some players, like Bellerin in particular, not that he's the only one, but I can say him for Arsenal. And I think, Bellerin and Ozil are the biggest examples. I don't think Xhaka, I wouldn't put him in that category necessarily, although maybe I think he tries to play it a little bit, here and there. But Bellerin and Ozil, at a certain point, they were like, why would I even work hard in this really hard arena when all I have to do is say something in the media or put out a story or do some Instagram post, and my relevance goes up, and it becomes not related to how they're playing.
Totally. I mean, and they really sucked that energy out doing that stuff.
It's a
It's
really,
just like the negative stuff in the media in general, like in the world, and they just like fed on that as like athletes.
yeah. And it kept their name in the news, but it was for the wrong reasons. And you see people like Alex Ferguson, when Beckham started to do that, he was like, you're out, you're donezo. Because that's what throws a club off. And for a long time, we were completely out of whack where like the players playing and their performances were not tied to the sentiment of the club or the amount of importance being placed on these players or attention, like if you're a soccer player, you need to be first and foremost known for being a soccer player and talked about as being a soccer player. Yes, there's tons of off-field commitments and charity and media responsibilities, but first and foremost, you need to be leading with your performance on the pitch. And there are players that aren't doing that. And today, I think it's easier to start bringing in outside forces to keep you relevant. I mean, people talk about Bellerin too much, I think. Like, what is he really, what are his stats?
Even now, like I just don't understand like other punditries, like even our AFTV does this, and they're like, well, is Bellerin going to come back after the loan deal? Why the fuck would you even bring that up? No, he went on loan for a reason. He obviously has passed his moment at Arsenal long ago. The reason we loaned him out is because no one wanted to buy him. No one wanted to put it up. Obviously, he's not in the fold or in the plans. Like, why are we talking about this like he is ever going to show back up and be an Arsenal player ever again? Like Guendouzi or Mustafi or any of these other guys that like are still on the books somehow and are at some other club playing, but are never going to actually play for us ever again.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're watching the Tottenham game or even the Brighton game, are you thinking like, man,
I wish we had Bellerin.
Yeah, like I used to say, man, I wish we had Nasri. I wish we had Adebayor. I wish we had
Did you see Nasri? Did you see Nasri yesterday?
No, not good.
Oh, dude, you just gotta for all the photo of him in the Marseille testimonial game that he played in yesterday. Dude is 50 pounds overweight, like fat. Like knees look fat, belly is fat. It took a really bad tumble near the box. It was like, dude, it's like really bad. And then you got Robert Pires on the field looking trim and just like 50 and balling still. And Drogba's out there running around like just. I mean, Nasri. It's a shame. Nasri is one of those ones that like I loved him at the club at first.
He was kind of a Guendouzi, but he was a Guendouzi of the older.
Better.
Was actually good. Guendouzi,
he was good, yeah.
Acting like Nasri, except he hadn't done anything to deserve it. But Nasri, he was sick, but you could tell his mentality wasn't like his head
he parties too much. Him and Shamak became friends with this kid I used to work with at XS, and they like are always still traveling, partying. I like this dude posts photos with them all the time, and he like, I mean, he just drinks way too much. You can tell, like, if you go on Twitter and look at him, like he looks like he put a 12-pack down before the game yesterday.
Sad, but yeah,
I mean, this era of, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how this era is like reflected from that second part of Wenger. I know that it's not all the way out. There's a new thing coming out about the Invincibles. I can't wait to watch that. Did you see that?
No.
There's like a documentary. It's all about the Invincible team that year. And it's like supposed to be really good. So I don't know if it's out quite yet, but I don't know. I would love to see something about like Arsenal over Wenger's entire tenureship and how the second part, because he really led us into this realm of where we find ourselves now. I think that he even encouraged the Cronkies to probably keep going and like, I mean, because it solidified him as like $8 million a year, and and like he obviously was like a part of that whole system. They were probably bummed that he resigned because he was such a yes man for them and a part of that system that he would have just kept doing that.
Yeah, and people even today think that we should never have gotten rid of him. You know,
That's
like
crazy.
see how we're doing poorly. Like we should have. Wenger did all of this stuff with less. You know, and they're not wrong, but it's just like we were comparing the Invincibles, which we have every right to do as fans because we're like, you work toward that. I give Wenger full credit for that. You know?
His first bit was amazing.
I mean, the idea of talking about Wenger in anything but the highest sense is something that I've become resigned to, but it was hard. I never was like Wenger out because I was like, this dude he was my hero as a coach. You know what I mean? Like everything he said seemed to be the most positive thing. But I also think that the whole decade of the 2010s, I would often look at the team and be like, I don't like this team. I don't like anyone playing right now. I don't like.
No, I mean, at one point we had Shamak, Squillaci in the same team with Chesney in goal.
Yeah.
Who?
Senderos.
Senderos. Yeah. Like, I mean, there was
Hentner was a laughing stock. Like
Bellerin.
Coquelin.
Oh my God. I mean, yeah. The entire team, that whole era, I think 2012 to like recently, besides Aubameyang and Ozil, and even Ozil when he came, we were jazzed on Ozil because that was like, you know, you and I liked Ozil when he was at Werder Bremen, and like that's a long time ago now, and we were always being like that dude is sick, and when he went to Real, we were like, oh, he's only going to get better, and then when we finally got it, it's a shame that he turned into such a dick because he was amazing. Like I had an Ozil jersey at one point, an Arsenal Ozil jersey.
It's heartbreaking because he was that player that we liked. I didn't like him because of anything else than like the way he played from a long time. And he was one of those players, if you imagine like, man, if I was a player, you know,
you want to be like
trajectory would I like to have? And like, even though it's never like how you imagine it, but you like think like, man, like it'd be cool to be like that guy. And Ozil was that guy, you know?
For sure. Yeah.
And his silky way of playing, his passing, it was like, this guy is perfect. And then he betrayed himself first and foremost.
Yeah.
He also, but I think you're under so much pressure. And then you're like, well, I mean, literally millions of people love me. And it doesn't matter what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I have all this pressure and I'm afraid, you know, I can't live up to it. You know, you have all the anxieties of the actual sport itself, which never go away. You know, like no matter what you do, form and confidence is always a very precarious thing.
Oh, so yeah. I think
it's so easy to just turn over and be like, I'm going to sell coffee and I'm going to have a special M10 hat and, you know, 1 million people will like it on Instagram. And it's just like, to give yourself over to that, I can't say I blame them, you know, but I can't also support them for doing that and then be a loyal customer to them when I'm a fan of Arsenal Football Club.
Yeah, I mean, he just commercialized all parts of it. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Ronaldo, like all of them, they have their celebrations and they have their staple, and like Ronaldo does his, but Ozil, like, I don't know, his like little M, like, I don't know. He was just like so much about it. Like he couldn't not do that, just like to celebrate for the pure joy of it sometimes.
But also, I wouldn't have minded so much if he did it more often. He did it 3 times a season, and he had to do his little fucking. Okay, Cristiano does that 3 times a game sometimes.
I know, yeah. He's like always.
That's the thing. If you do it, like, I just wanted him to do it more. You know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then he would do it. The thing that was frustrating was then he would all of a sudden score a goal one day. And then he'd do the thing as if he's like, see, in your face, fans who loved me from the beginning and who only want me to do it more, you know? And it's like, oh, now I'm the bad guy. Now I'm the hater, even though we liked him since Werder Bremen and only wanted to emulate him and thought he was the best. And now he's like, it's putting it in our face. Like,
well, that's what he doesn't understand that, I don't think. Like, if he were to actually know that there were, like, we live in the States, we live very far from where this even takes place. We follow the leagues, we've always been involved in the game. And like, I don't know, he probably doesn't even think that there was like some Americans that were like following him at Werder Bremen days, like before he was anybody. Like, and he kind of just needs some reality check in some regard. Like he got way too into himself and his life and just yeah.
Have a new hair. That's another thing too. And like, here's the thing about for me, and we growing up, style in the game, how you wear your shin guards, your hair, the way you wear your shorts. Did you tuck in your shorts or not, half tuck in or not? Your cleats. It's all extremely important. What style good, and it was an interesting thing to observe because it's like it could look stupid, but if you're good, it all of a sudden is good. You know, like
Grealish, Grealish and Emil Smith Rowe, their socks drive me insane, but they're ballers and they're welcome to do that because and
you pull it off. If you score a sick goal, then if you're wearing some outlandish shit, then it's cool. If you're wearing some outlandish shit and just kind of like every time someone passes you the ball, you just one touch it back to them, and then you don't really play defense. And you kind of like look when someone goes past you and then kicks it into your own goal. And you're like, there's nothing stylish about that, you know?
Right.
Like if you're balling off like Bellerin again, like if you out there wearing this stuff that I never found to be interesting to begin with, but if he was ripping down the right wing and scoring goals and getting assists and juking the shit out of defenders, and then he wanted to wear a burlap sack outside the pitch, you could be like, damn, dude, that guy's got some sick confidence. You know, it's ridiculous, but it's great.
Yeah, like Aubameyang. I mean, Aubameyang drives a chrome Lamborghini. All of his cars are ridiculous. Like he has, the one is shadowy silver or whatever. It reflects rainbow. Yeah, it's like, and the dude shows up in like jumpsuits that are Gucci and just, I mean, but like he's a baller. So
yeah, and it makes it cool. It's like, that's Aubameyang is a persona, but you're only a persona if you're good on the field, you know?
Yeah, you know the kids that like when we were younger showed up in white boots and you were like, oh, this kid's wearing white boots, he better be good.
Yeah.
And
because
you suck and you're wearing white boots, like you look like an idiot.
Yeah, it's like if you wear pink in general, basically.
Yeah.
Like you gotta own it. You
gotta have something behind it.
Being flamboyant, you know, like the flamboyancy is not bad in itself, but if you don't have the quality to back it up, it's annoying. It's annoying.
And
you know,
and Bellerin did not have the quality. You know, and ever since his
a lot
ACL,
of quality to back up the shit that he was wearing, frankly.
Dude, I don't know why him and Arshavin, actually, it's funny. Arshavin, super into fashion, went into like making clothes. Like, why don't they just start a clothing line together? Yeah.
PhD in fashion. I mean, fashion is awesome. It's definitely a part of the game.
Yeah, no, soccer's a stylish sport. Like you said, like, I mean, there is a definitive style to everybody, you know, like you got how you wear shin guards, how you wear your shorts, like how you wear your socks, like what boots you have on.
Yeah,
you know,
you're this or that, you know. Then it became
like
and
like now it's the thing to like have your socks pulled above your knee for some people. Like that just seemed I've tried it just to test it. It's super uncomfortable. Like I can't get used to it as a player.
Yeah.
Like,
or like some people wear tights now, you know, like
yeah.
Would have been unacceptable in our day.
Dude, yeah. I still think it's unacceptable, the tight part. Like, you gotta come on. Like, even when it's like it's cold here. It's in Seattle. Like, I'm playing outdoor right now, and like the other night, it's freaking cold. But I would never wear pants to play. I can't play in pants in general.
Yeah, it's odd. But at the end of the day, if the whole point of why you're even in the conversation is soccer, a sport, professional sport in a top league, then you have to be good at that, or else everything else is just secondary, you know?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and like Arsenal was like perfectly there because we had been granted the status of top football club, you know? So people would get to Arsenal and just feel like they'd made it, you know? Like the job's already done. Like I'm on the first team of Arsenal. Like I'm so proud of myself, you know? And then you
Yeah.
look at Vieira. Could you imagine Ramsey or even Wilshire or Xhaka or any of these guys training on a daily basis with Vieira? They'd be scared. You know, Oxlade-Chamberlain, what would he do? Honestly, that's like a
Well,
man
that's like,
against a boy. That's a little whiny teenager against a grown ass man who doesn't give a fuck. You know, that's the
yeah.
difference between these squads.
Well, and like that team, I mean, if you compare like the Invincible team to like everything that's followed since, I mean, just the sheer size and class of those players is way different. I mean, we they consciously knew what they were doing as they downgraded the squad year after year. Like it was a real unraveling here and there. Like it was like, all right, we'll let this guy go. We'll let this guy go. And then, all of a sudden we're selling to our rivals. And then all of a sudden it's like, now we're not buying anybody. And then we go through a window and it was like, oh, we're supposed to buy someone. And we buy Mikel Arteta on transfer deadline day as like a panic buy. And like, I think that like that whole time frame is like really where it was like, we were really wheels were off the cart, because that was like, there seemed to be no rhyme or reason for what they were doing and how they were approaching like the transfers and business and going. It just didn't make a lot of sense. Like no disrespect to Mikel Arteta in general. Like I never really rated him that much as a player. Like he was fine. He was at Everton. Great at Everton. Great at Everton. Yeah.
I heard something on AFTV that I thought was interesting because I hadn't thought of it before. But like, we're gonna play Crystal Palace. Patrick Vieira is the coach.
Mm-hmm.
Never even considered for the job, but he's coached before. Like he was actual manager first.
Don't you think?
Head manager at 2 clubs beforehand, not even mentioned. And if we would have been given the choice, even before Unai Emery, because they were saying Mikel Arteta is the guy almost,
Mm-hmm.
If you would have been given the choice between Vieira and Arteta, I have to think that I would have wanted Vieira more.
Of course, he's more of an Arsenal blood player, and like even Bergkamp in there. Like Bergkamp has been managing as well over in Holland, and like so like I would have taken either one of them in that sense ahead of Arteta. I think the main reason is we go back to our discussion the one day about like whatever is going on at Arsenal is weird, and I think they made a conscious decision. Why would we bring Vieira in? Because he's like an actual Arsenal man. I don't think that they want that kind of blood there. They want someone that's going to do what they want.
Yeah.
And is not going to rock the boat. And Vieira is just not that kind of person. Yeah. Vieira, like, that dude expects excellence in general in everything.
And yeah, like to get an Invincible who was there before all the chicanery started happening.
Yeah, he knows.
That wouldn't make sense, because then he's going to get in here and be like, wait a minute, this isn't what we did when we literally won the league without losing. So why would we change? The weirdest mystery is, why did Arsene Wenger change? Like
money. I think
like I wonder though, because he claims that Real Madrid wanted him twice. They would have paid him $8 million a year. It wasn't a guaranteed 8 million every year. But he could have, after what he did with Arsenal in the beginning, he could have gone from club to club collecting a multi-million dollar check for as long as he wanted to. You know, like really, was it? I don't know. Maybe it was the money, freedom, cush job, combination. But even so,
I mean, he had like free reign. I think the reason he probably didn't go to Real is like, he knew at Arsenal he's never going to get sacked. At Real, Real, you get a year. You're out. Like, I mean, look, they fucking sacked Zidane after he won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. You
just know that.
It's like Chelsea. That's like a Chelsea job.
Yeah. But so you can understand it, but even so, like you said, and if you look at the transfer history from the Invincibles on, like the summer after we won the Invincible season, we had all these players like Ray Parler and like the old school defender people who were there from like old school Arsenal, from the generation before us, really, before we started watching. They just left on free transfers, like contracts done, free transfer, goodbye, very quietly, kind of like, go out into the sunset. They're done.
Yeah.
But then you lose this certain core of your team. And we didn't try to sell them, we just basically let them walk, And then from then on, it's just like, let's get rid of Ashley Cole. Basically, anytime anyone got another offer, we accepted. We never wanted to raise any more money. And then we didn't replace them. We replaced them with tiny little people, like even Nasri, Arshavin,
Well, yeah, he said that. Even Wenger was like, I thought the league was going a different direction. I think Wenger just grossly misread some things I think he was so confident that he knew his way and was like confident that style was going to continue and that he was going to be able to be effective with that type of team. But yeah, you're not wrong. Like, now all of those dudes that we signed were small. And you look at the league now, everyone's still very big.
I know. What made us good? Everyone was the stature, just pure stature of Thierry Henry. Tall, skinny, strong. Look at Vieira, him, Canu,
Tony Adams, Loren.
I mean, look at Gilberto. Look at the starting lineup. Yeah, we had a smaller guy, Ljungberg, on the wing, and Perez was still tall. But like for the most part, like tall, strong dudes. Or you look at like City, and Pep came in his first year and thought like, oh, I'm going to have Iniesta style players, just tiki-taka. And then he played Stoke, and West Brom in the same week and was like, okay, give me 250. I'm buying a whole new set of defenders and they're all going to be what? Tall and strong.
Yeah. When you look at all the other teams, I mean, like Chelsea, massive players, like always. They're always buying big dudes. City, I mean, you look at the back line of City, Diaz, Stones. I mean, Mendy when he was not in trouble for, rape. Kyle Walker's massive. I mean, all of those guys are big.
Yeah. I mean, you're not even scouted unless you're a certain stature, physicality. And then if you're also good, it like lowers the list down of candidates.
Yep.
Like you got to be 6 foot plus,
and good on the ball and how, I mean, Guardiola has like a very, I mean, I don't know what they were doing. For a while there, I mean, at least we did some good business this summer. I think this team will get better. I think what we had wasn't great for a long time. And, going into this newer era, I feel a little bit more positive even after that game against Brighton. We didn't lose. It was a 0-0 draw.
Yeah.
Ramsdale continues to impress. The back line looks better. Gabriel is the size of defender that we need.
Right.
Is like that size player.
Profile player.
Yeah. And then Tomiyasu and Tierney mixed in there. They're not massively tall, but they're big and strong and fast. And so and in those positions, you want them to be nimble and be able to get out of weird situations. And then Ben White's big. He could get a little more muscular, which I'm sure he will. And then, I think the stature of the team is getting larger, which is good. Finally.
Partey and Lokonga is like, we've been wanting a Vieira replacement. The part of Vieira's presence was his physical presence.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's huge. So what do you think that game on Monday is going to be like? It's at noon. We're at home. We have 3 home games in a row. Because we got Villa after on Friday, and then Tuesday. We got it's a lot of games in 8 days. 3 games in 8 days.
That's insane. And they're all tough.
It's not even.
They're all that caliber of team that I think is our hardest
danger. Yeah.
Thing right now. Because,
I'd rather play Tottenham than any one of those 3 teams.
Yeah. And for the big guys, except for earlier this season, which almost didn't count considering the teams that we fielded. But we can get pumped up to play, a Big Six team, but it's the 7-12, 7-13, 14, the Leeds, the Villa destroyed us last season, they were just better than us both games.
They're going to be good still too. That's not an easy game. And
they're not going to be shy about playing.
Well, there's going to be no easy games, I think, anymore in general in the league. It's just the way the Premier League is getting. And now you look at Newcastle got bought by the richest people in the world. I mean, so
now you're adding another Big Six team. It's not even like a team like Wolves, who were kind of lower tier, who fought their way into middle tier, and now we're a tough team to beat. They're a team that's hanging around. And now they're a top 6 team. So
because it'll take them a little bit to develop that, but they're gonna, that they're in January, they're gonna spend some money. They're gonna who they'll attract, I'm not sure. It took Man City a long time to get to where they're at.
Yeah.
Now, but I would certainly expect Newcastle to make a couple quality purchases in January.
Yeah, I mean, I heard Coutinho, Rabiot. I mean, it's all these kind of players who are on the fringe but good. They'll swoop those first with a lot of money.
Totally. The ones that don't really care about Champions League as much, that they know that they can throw some money at them. Yeah.
They can't work their way into Juventus or Barcelona or Real Madrid but they still have this name about them. They'll go and be the star guy and get paid $200,000 a week,
Yeah.
And, eventually they'll be better, and then eventually they'll get some coach who builds a whole new back line, and it's just from there on. It's the next guy that would have gone to Chelsea from Aston Villa or wherever is going to go to Newcastle, and that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, no, I mean they're certainly going to make moves. I wish I don't know. I mean, I think that's there was a lot of stuff around that because of the human rights stuff with the Saudis buying, because of Mohammed bin Salam, and it'll be interesting to see what develops from that, because all of the Premier League clubs have asked them not to be allowed to purchase it, which is interesting. And
would you?
No, what is it? You know,
Like,
the Premier League isn't going to be like.
I don't mind this dude with 320 billion buying a team and then buying all the players that I was going to buy and all of a sudden becoming better. Like, I don't like, I don't, I don't like the Saudi regime, and I don't think that they're wonderful people or whatever. But I think people throw that shit into the mix because they're just pissed off because the Saudis didn't buy their club, or they didn't.
Totally.
Yeah. Do you want your competitor? Do you want a competitor with that much money? No, no one wants that. So they'll cite everything in the book that they can,
Oh yeah, they're gonna. I mean, but the reality is they're probably gonna just own that club and move forward doing what they're gonna be doing. Like, I mean,
and they have over 10 times as much money as the new Man City owners,
which is wild.
Who is like, Man City has unlimited money. That if they were allowed to, if they could really get away with it, they would literally
they would buy everybody.
Single person. But it'll be interesting to see because like you're getting teams that refuse to sell. Even, I mean, I don't know how Tottenham feels like they're in a position where they can turn down 120 million pounds.
Right. And for, I don't know, that seems strange because, like, look, Harry Kane should have been on his way, right, somewhere else, just for pure reasons of letting Harry Kane go win a trophy somewhere. I think it's a dick move when the player asks to leave and he's been a professional the entire time. Like, I don't like Tottenham, but Harry Kane is nothing but like a professional on and off the field, and shows up all the time. They should have let him go. That's less like, I don't know.
They would get something for it in the form of
you could buy two other forwards, 3 other forwards, 5 other forwards. There's a lot of 120 million is a lot of money.
How much? 120 million this year?
Yeah, 150 or something.
Oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Like, finally we're spending some money. They could have recouped that, and they could have done all the business we did and basically spent no money by just selling Harry Kane.
Totally. I mean, it really just they do weird business. Like, Daniel Levy is known for being a stickler about stuff and just a hard ass on business, and yeah, I mean, I think it's going to hurt Harry Kane in the long run. That Harry Kane's going to leave next summer if he has his way, or he's going to lead into next summer being like, I want to go. Fucking let me leave. I won't. He already didn't turn up to training in the beginning of this summer.
He did the gentleman's agreement. Have you seen The Founder?
About no. Oh yeah, the movie. Yeah.
The guy's like, all right, I'll sell it to you, but I need 1% of all of your profits in perpetuity. So every year, 1% of whatever you make, I still get. He's like, all right, a gentleman's handshake agreement. And they like shake hands. And then he's like, all right, fuck that, not going to do that. That's like what Levy did with Kane. He's like, all right, I'll let you go next season.
This happens. I feel like this happens a lot in football, though. Like, people are like, yeah, you can go next summer if you stay. And then the summer rolls around. Like, well, I don't know.
You can't go.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like Mbappe, he wanted to leave. They were going to pay 120 or 130. Next year he leaves for free. Is he going to?
I know that.
Is he going to stay because he's like, oh well, I mean, I wanted to go. I wanted the situation where you could get $130 million. That's basically like, if you offer someone a chance to make $130 million after winning them tons of titles, and they tell
you should take that.
Stay here and play one more year. What is that person going to do when he has a chance to just leave for free?
Oh yeah, Mbappe is going to sign in January for some club, and he'll be gone in the summer for sure for free. And if he wants to go to Real, what's to keep Real giving him a signing bonus for 20 million and just being like, hey, we're saving 100 here.
Yeah. Well, 30 million, or we'll
getting
100 mil. And
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen. And it's like, it's very strange that they played it like that. Like
PSG is weird. They're
well,
doing
you
weird
don't need the
stuff.
money, I guess, just
Yeah.
like, but it'll be interesting with Newcastle in the mix because now it's getting to the point where so many teams have this unlimited money backing where you're
Right.
like, it's
And there's not enough
almost
players.
like coming to like a standstill where people are not being swayed by money anymore. And they're just going to be like, no, I'm not going to sell to this person. And, at a certain point, if there's like 10 fully rich teams who can buy anyone they want, you run out of players who you can just
fit
buy for that,
Yeah.
Like,
Can fit that bill.
Yeah, like Chelsea's not going to sell to Man City, and Newcastle's not going to sell to Real Madrid, and PSG doesn't want to sell to Newcastle. So like,
Right.
it'll be a weird. The thing is, though, that they'll still be the ones with all the good players, and will Arsenal try to keep pace? I mean, they spent a lot of money this season. It's like you never know. Next season we could spend like 12 million or something.
Yeah, it's super annoying because these clubs have been spending a lot of money year after. Like City spent 100 million on Grealish just alone, and so we go and spend 150 on 6 players, and it's long overdue. We should have been spending that kind of money year after year and having some type of structure. They really did not do that. I mean, with Pepe, they bought Pepe a couple years ago, 72 million, and every few years they would buy one big marquee player and like be like, oh well, we bought you Ozil, so we're gonna start him next to Bellerin and Xhaka, and we'll just piece it together that way. And it just hasn't worked out for them, and they've progressively gotten worse and worse until now. We'll see what this new kind of system does and this new type of team that we have. I mean, I saw something today that they're already looking for buying someone in January just as trying to bolster the squad. I mean, they need to keep adding. Every window, they should buy at least one player. You like, just to have depth.
Yeah, just to throw it in the mix too and keep people on their toes, being like, oh, if I don't
well, Locke is going to be gone next summer, right? So like, we might as well get maybe even in January. Yeah, I mean, we're going to lose some other players. Like Leno's obvious on the way out, so we're going to need another goalkeeper.
Yeah,
like we're going to need another backup goalkeeper that can be a first if we need him to be first.
Yeah. There's still some lingering issues. I mean, we're in a situation where we need another backup goalkeeper, where we were in.
I know it's because what they didn't do over the long period. This like 12-year gap of them not investing has just caught up in so many different positions. You can't like buy 20 players in a window and change the whole squad. But at times we've needed to do that. Like,
no, I mean,
they needed to buy 2 right backs, 2 center back, or 4 center backs, 2 left back. Like, how many years?
Right back right now.
We don't really have one. Callum Chambers, I guess, or Cedric.
Who, I mean, I have a feeling we're going to look back in a couple of years and see the team of like last year or 2 years ago and be like,
what was that?
Come on, dude.
Like, dude, last year was bad.
Team of scrubs, like a solid lineup with a person behind him who was a flat out scrub who you wouldn't even think could make it on Bolton or.
Well, the interesting thing, you're not wrong. You're right there. Like last year, look at the players that we had on the team. None of them were getting into the international team, their national teams. None of them. Now, this window here, we had 6 of them score for their countries.
True.
I mean, it's just a completely different system now. I remember for years I would always go on the Arsenal website when they were on the international break, and it'd be like, who's on international duty this period? And almost every player was on that list. Almost every first team squad player was going away with their country to play. Last year, we had like one or two.
Yeah.
Now we like most of them are gone again, which is good for them and not world football.
And it was getting to the point where it was like, just do the normal thing. We're not asking you to go above and beyond. We're just saying do the normal thing. Like
just
be a
yeah.
Yeah, we know him. Like
it doesn't. I don't know what they watch sometimes. Like it doesn't like go play FIFA on the video game. It shows how good all the players are in real time, like very accurately.
Like what is Cedric and Chambers and Holding and Kolasinac and El Neni? What are their FIFA ratings? 40s?
Oh, dude, they're low. They're not like, they're so slow on the game. I don't ever even bother when I play with Arsenal whenever I play on there. And I mean, I will switch it up sometimes because they haven't been as fast. I need to get the new one because I'd like to see what this team is like. So maybe I'll do that today. But like I would sub out all the players. Like you don't want Bellerin on there or Xhaka in there. I don't even know why they would be in there. You're better off playing somebody else like in there that was behind them. Just because their general movement, even in the computerized game, is off. Like the game understand. I don't, football. Aussie used to play Football Manager back in the day all the time. They were always on that, and that thing like predicted some really top amazing players. Like it just in general. I remember when he was always on it, and he was like, oh, that dude's gonna be sick one day, and turns out he was fucking sick one day. And like it was like, oh, like if the computer can know that, like, and judge that, why aren't they doing this as an organization? Just somebody's job should be to pay attention to Football Manager and be cherry picking all.
Well, it's weird too, because one thing that Mark Wenger that wasn't really talked about, but he mentions in his book, is like the whole Moneyball approach to teams, and like this flow chart that says when a player needs to be rested, because there'd be so many times during Wenger's latter era where players doing well, and then they're like, we're resting him today. And you're like, what the crap, man? Like, it's hard to regain momentum once you lost.
Oh yeah, that's even just in general. Like, I mean, for us, even when we're playing, like I'll have a really great game, and 5 days will go by, nothing happens, and I just have a terrible game after. It's like the wind blew wrong that day, and I just didn't feel up and like ready to go or something. Like the sport changes so fast. You gotta keep the momentum. And
if you're in form, they gotta play.
Form can change fast, like really quickly,
and just not playing almost hands over your form. Then you have to hope that you come back in a good place. Like,
and you're competitive. You're a competitive top athlete that is like mental about it, and you get benched. You're gonna be like, dude, why am I on the bench today? I feel fine. Like
it's like they were playing Football Manager, but they were losing. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta cut it here in a minute. So, but prediction Monday? What do you think?
Man, if we can contain Zaha.
I know. I think we could shut him down. I think Tierney and Tomiyasu and that defense, and Partey and Lokonga in there. I think that we could beat Palace, actually.
I'm going to say 2-0 Arsenal.
I'm going to say 3-1 Arsenal.
Yeah.
I guess I think it's doable. I think there's a feel good momentum with the club right now that I think that they are going to keep riding, that can help them.
Just Can you imagine the day when you can be confident about a prediction? Because I still
Oh my
feel
God.
going into every game, I still feel like, well, we could win 3-0, we could lose 3-0, we could tie. And
Right.
none of those outcomes would surprise me.
Sure. No, yeah, totally. I mean, we're not at City, Liverpool, Chelsea in those ranges right now where they know that they're going to beat most teams. Like they know if they're going to go play Palace, they're probably going to beat Palace. Like, and it's not.
Probably will. We
Yeah,
should. It's very questionable whether we will or
it is. It's tough to know what's going to end up happening with Arsenal on that. So,
Yeah.
but it should be a good weekend of matches. I'm sure we'll chat and we'll be back next week. We'll have a lot to talk about because we got Palace, then we got Villa, and then Leeds. So there's like a lot going on the next like few weeks. I hate the international breaks, but I like when it comes back and there's like kind of a flurry of games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, I will be in touch with you and we'll be back next week.
Sounds good, mate.
Thanks for joining us as always.
See you next